I think this foundation must be deepened, must be exploited positively, in my view, including in really intertwining our economies, our businesses, investments. I think South Africa now still probably is the largest trading partner with Zambia. You can check the figures, but we don't talk about it. We need to do that, and that's why I'm very enthused with the Binational Commission, the revival of the Binational Commission. Minister Pandor, if you may pass my message to President Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa, that first we return his greeting. Secondly, that I'm very encouraged that you two, as Ministers of Foreign Affairs, are leading the charge with other ministries to revive this National Commission, which I think will anchor some of the issues that we need to deal with between the two governments, the two peoples, two nations, two peoples. And obviously, on the basis of that, we would like to see more joint ventures amongst our investors, common projects. This energy crisis presents an opportunity, like you have said, Minister, that we can get to encourage our investor groups across our national boundaries within our region to work together. As we go out, early in my presidency, I visited South Africa. Was one of the first countries I visited, and I raised the issue of deepening these relationships, especially the joint ventures, before we go out to look for investors elsewhere. Within our countries, two countries, first within our region, we must be consciously looking for deepening those joint ventures in different sectors. I think it makes our then work much easier to work together to transact with bigger powers. Europe, West, East, China, when we are holding hands. You did mention the issue of critical minerals, EV, trillions of dollars of business in the EVs. If we don't work together and manage this rare window of opportunity for us to exponentially improve our economies, grow our economies, deepen the value addition beneficiation, in return deliver jobs, opportunities for our people. If we don't manage this rare opportunity, which I want to say the GCC countries managed quite well. When the oil find was coming through, they were like us. You're better in terms of size of the economy, but they were like us. They didn't have the capital, they didn't have the technology, they didn't have really the business know-how, how to manage their resource endowment. But I think they did network quite a bit. I would imagine that they would have had agreed on certain minimums as they went out to transact. How do I know that they did that well? I know it from where they sit now, from mere desert countries, camels, deaths, oases here and there, to what they are now. So the desert is not a challenge because they manage their resource endowments well. So Minister, I want to agree with what you've said and pass the message to my brother, my elder brother, that my early comments when I came into office are still as valid now as then, even more valid now, that we must handhold each other. Otherwise we'll miss this window of opportunity. And I think for many, we were all viewed as just mining countries, raw material suppliers. But all of a sudden, climate change, the push towards green energy, critical minerals, we host minerals that we don't host. South Africa hosts, Congo DR hosts. Unless we come together, I want to really say this is the core of my response to your meeting.
Our ministries have been working, Mr. President, on a range of sectoral matters. In particular, our ministries of agriculture have been engaged. Our ministers of minerals have had already more than 2 meetings discussing a wide range of areas of cooperation, and our ministers of trade are doing very good work, including preparing a draft MOU on investment cooperation, which would have the intention of ensuring that the investment arms institutions within our 2 countries work more closely together to invest in greater business formation and thus job creation and economic growth in our 2 countries. So we're very thrilled at that. We have discussed the matter of critical minerals, myself and Minister Kakubo, and really asserted our belief that what we must ensure is whatever contracts we enter into, the value chain development happens in Africa. As Your Excellency the President would be aware, I know you and President Ramaphosa touched on this in New York, the whole issue of the electric vehicles sector and the prime position in which we are in as countries that hold critical minerals for this development. Our 2 ministers of trade of our 2 countries are discussing how we develop a value chain that is of benefit to the region and the continent to ensure that we find a space for ourselves to be the key drivers in these emerging industrial sectors. We've also, with my colleague, discussed the matter of energy. I briefed him on our electricity availability problem in South Africa and the steps we're taking to address this. I also indicated that there are opportunities for the private sector players to take up energy opportunities in South Africa. And we encourage businesses from the continent not to neglect these opportunities, but also to take them up. And we agreed that both countries must work at strengthening tourism, as it's such a key sector for job creation. I alerted Minister to some of the interventions our government has led in this sector. And then, of course, on international matters, we shared our thoughts on the current very tragic situation unfolding in the Middle East and the importance of leadership for peace, because we have to stop the tragedy that is unfolding, because if it engulfs the whole region, it's just going to add more to our problems that have arisen from the Ukraine-Russia conflict. So we did agree that our leaders should be playing a very visible role, particularly yourself as chair of the SADC organ, in articulating our perspective of humanity. It's a very important one by Africa, of seeking peace and drawing people together. And we believe we could play, through yourselves, a critical role in this regard. Finally, Mr. President, we talked about the need to ensure we implement the African Continental Free Trade Area successfully to really boost intra-African trade and progress and development on our continent. We had a very long agenda. We couldn't conclude all of it, so we've agreed we shall continue our meeting virtually at a date we will determine, but that from this meeting, Minister Kakubo and I are going to be in dynamic contact all the time. Thank you very much, Excellency.
As foreign ministers, we'll convene the ministries that we shall jointly pick from either side to provide the platform for the meetings that our 2 presidents will eventually chair. So we'll have done our homework by the time the meeting happens. Otherwise, Mr. President, we are pleased that you've given us an opportunity to brief you on what we are working on so far.